quote, "Music is the literature of the heart. It begins where speech ends," end quote. Alphonse de Lamartine. For many artists who stutter or who have dealt with a stutter in their life, singing or rapping has been the only way to speak, or at least speak fluently. Stuttering can be defined as blocks, prolongations, repetitions, or interruptions in a person's speech. Many artists who stutter have gone on to have incredibly successful careers. Some of these artists include Kendrick Lamar, Ed Sheeran, B.B. King, Bill Withers, and Ann Wilson from Heart. All of these artists have explained many times about how they used music and writing as a way to get their message across and say what thoughts needed to be said from them. Kendrick Lamar has a great quote where he was being interviewed by the New York Times, and he said, quote, "As a child, I used to stutter. I think that's why I put all my creativity and energy into making music. That's how I got my thoughts out instead of being crazy all the time." Ed Sheeran, who is another Grammy Award winning songwriter from Britain, he actually credits Eminem with helping him end his stutter, or at least reduce it. He says that as a child, he was 9 years old, his father bought him the Marshall Mathers LP, and pretty much told him that if you memorize every word on this album, your stuttering will go down. And Ed Sheeran not only fell in love with the album and how it helped him reduce his stuttering, but you can definitely see the influence on Eminem, or you can definitely see the influence that Eminem had on Ed Sheeran as an artist, even today. There are many people who have done research on why people don't stutter when they are singing. There is not that much research done on it now, but recently there has been a lot more done than in the past. One of the writers for the Stuttering Foundation, named Barry Guitar, who has a PhD from the University of Vermont, believes that when you are singing compared to when you are speaking, you are using a different part of your brain. And because you're using a different part of your brain, your mouth and your vocal cords are being asked to do something differently by your brain. So it finds it easier speaking, or it finds it easier singing rhythmically than just speaking. And that brings me to my next point that Barry Guitar says. He says also, while you're singing, there is no pressure vocally while you're singing. And there's no like time constraint on how fast you have to get words out. And for me personally, I can 100% relate to this. I have been stuttering since about 6th grade, I believe. And when I'm speaking, I can feel how my vocal cords tend to get a lot tighter, and that can restrict airflow, which would make it harder to speak and to get words out. Because when you stutter, you know what you want to say and how you want to say it, but something goes wrong between your thought process and you actually getting the words out. So I can totally relate to that. Um, and I have also had quite a big fear of public speaking ever since I did develop a stutter. Because when I was younger, I didn't have that bad of a speech impediment. I actually didn't have a speech impediment, but it slowly progressed. And in sixth grade, it was really bad. Like I couldn't even speak without like jolting my head, and I could barely get a sentence out. And thankfully now, it has gotten a lot better, but I still do struggle with it. So that is one of the main reasons that I decided to take this class, is to really get over my fears of public speaking. And much like many of the artists that I do look up to, they have used music as I have, to help them deal with their speech. And personally, I might not speak fluently all the time, but that does not mean that I do not have thoughts worth saying and things that need to be said that are just as important as somebody who may not have a speech impediment. So, the one thing that I've really learned from this class is that I can really do anything that I want to. I just have to be able to push through the fear of, oh, don't speak because you have a stutter, or like, what if people in class look at you funny because of how you speak? That should not be an obstacle for those who do stutter. And for those who don't have a stutter but probably come into contact with somebody who does, um, I believe that don't necessarily get caught up in the fact that they do have a stutter, but really pay more attention to what they're saying compared to how they're saying it, and whether there's blocks or repetitions in their speech. It's still just as important as somebody who doesn't have a stutter. And I know that thanks to this class, I've been able to push through a big fear of mine, and I really hope to continue pushing through my fears and continue to enhance my speech and get better. Thank you for taking the time to listen to my speech, and I have truly enjoyed this class. Thank you so much.